If you're a fan of MEC reloading gear, this video is for you. Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. As you've seen on the channel, I just finished my 6.5 PRC lightweight backpacking hunting rifle. Absolutely love it, and I can't wait to start loading 6.5 PRC. In this video, what I'm going to do is two things. First, we're going to talk about the MEC Marksman and its metallic reloading suite of reloading gear. I've shown you the Marksman, I've shown you some of the tools. In this video, I want to take that to the next level by showing you more of the comprehensive portfolio of metallic reloading gear that MEC offers. Also, I'm going to load my very first 6.5 PRC loads. That'll be a kickoff to my load development process. So let me talk about what we've got here. We've got their pan sifter. This sits right on the top of a 5-gallon bucket or something like that. You can pour your cases in media after you've tumbled them and separate them in that way. We've also got the rotary sifter. This is the way I like to separate the media from the cases that you've cleaned. We've got the vibratory polisher, the vibratory tumbler. We've got the corncob media. I showed their walnut shell media in a prior video. This corncob media is great for polishing the cases, for removing case lube, that kind of thing. Case polish, already showed that in a previous video. We've got the 6-inch digital calipers that we're going to use as a part of this process. The MEC 100R digital scale kit. The powder measure, showed that in a previous video, and the trickler, that's been shown as well. We've got the MEC case lube. This is great. This is very similar to the lanolin lube that I make myself. It goes on easy, it's very quick to applicate, it's easy to remove, it's not super greasy, and it works really effectively. Of course, we've got the MEC Marksman single stage reloading press. MEC also makes a nice stand. I happen to use the inline fabrication system here in the shop, so I'm going to use that. And then we've got a suite of components that I'll walk through when we get to the loading process. So let's start by taking some of the cases that I've fire formed, and we're going to put them into the vibratory tumbler, use some walnut shell media to get these babies clean. So with the rotary tumbler here, we're just going to take the lid off. There's a nice knob there. You can do a quick spin. Put the cases in. Then we're going to put some media. I've already used this media. This was used in the last video where we did the case polish. Just kind of to where we've covered the cases, roughly. And then we're going to put about 1 cap of this. I just shook this up nicely. And that will just kind of mix in when we get things going here. Replace the lid. Crank it down just a little bit. And we've got a nice toggle switch here. And we'll let that run for about a half an hour or so. So this has been running for about a half an hour. That means our cases are clean. I love the clear lid because I can monitor the progress. We've got the sifter here. We're going to open the inner clamshell. Get this to sit just like that. That's how I like to do it. And then we can just pour this straight into the clamshell half that's facing us. It's actually going to pre-sort a lot of the media in one fell swoop there, but we can click this shut, close the lid. That's going to prevent a whole bunch of dust from coming into the room. We'll do this for a little while. Sorry, no, that was kind of loud. Okay. So we should be separated pretty well. Now look at that. Doesn't it look pretty? I think so. Right into our container here. Next, we're going to lubricate the cases that we want to use for this reloading process. So I'm going to take 10 cases, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and I'm going to lubricate only these 10 because I'm going to start with a batch of 10, and I like to size the cases when the lube has just flashed but isn't totally dry. And what I like to do for this with spray lube is just kind of agitate the cases while I spray. And if we let these sit and flash off, the alcohol is going to kind of evaporate for about 5 minutes or so. We can go on to sizing. For sizing, let me show you what we've got going on here for gear and setup. Of course, we've got the MEC Marksman with its patented floating shell holder. I'm using a Hornady number 5 shell holder. This would be the same one that you'd use with something like 300 Win Mag or 300 PRC. I've got the Hornady 2-die set that includes the full-length sizer, which I've screwed down into the press until I can feel just a touch of resistance at the top of the stroke. And what we're going to want to do here is I've got an L.E. Wilson case gauge. This is going to be an important way to confirm our sizer die setup. Just going to go ahead and full-length size one of the pieces of brass here, wipe off the excess case lube, and then drop it into the case gauge. We want to see it between the bottom step and the top step here for our sizing confirmation. And while the case is hanging down, we can look up at the bottom of the case gauge to see that we're not over length. If we were over length, of course, we would need to trim. So it looks like we're good on our sizer die setup. We're just going to go ahead and size and deprime the rest of these cases. Now that we've sized the cases, I'm going to wipe off the case lube. If we were doing this in bulk, we could throw the cases back into the tumbler and use the ground corn cob polish media. I like to use the walnut shells for the initial cleaning pass, and the corn cob does a great job of polishing and removing excess lube. On to priming. For priming, I'm using the Primerites Competition Primer Seeder. This is a really nice setup because you can fine-tune your primer seeding depth down to 1/1000th of an inch, 1/1000th per click there. And I have this set up for 300 PRC. Should be set up pretty well here for the 6.5 PRC. I can feel the primer is down below the surface of the case rim. That is going to be excellent. So each time we just manually actuate the bar and we're off and running. I've unpackaged the MEC 100R digital scale kit, and this is what is included. You've got the scale itself, you've got the instruction manual. I followed the procedure for calibration, which is very easy. There's the 100-gram reference weight here. We've got 2 pans, one that can be used to charge cases. I did check, and because of the dimensions of 6.5 PRC, it looks like it's not going to have the tightest seal. So I'm not going to use that one for this. We will use the conventional pan. So we're just going to turn it on, and that should zero out the scale with the pan. And then we can go ahead and do our charging and trickling, which I'll show you next. So I've already filled the powder measure and the trickler with Accurate Mag Pro. That's the powder I'm experimenting here with for 6.5 PRC initially. Each time we're going to dispense a charge into the pan, put it on the scale. Should be just under 58. It says 57.4, so we're going to come up 0.6 grains up to 58, which is our desired charge weight. This takes a little bit of patience, but for things like load development, it's well worth the effort to get this dialed in pretty tight here. So there's 58. We're going to take the pan and a funnel, and each time we're just going to go ahead and charge the case. After we've dumped the powder in, I like to give it a little bit of a tap just to dislodge any powder. Rinse and repeat 9 more times. Okay, let's get things set up and ready for bullet seating. I'm going to insert a lock and load bushing there, and then we'll screw in the die a little ways. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take factory ammunition that I'm essentially duplicating, same bullet, 147 grain ELDM bullet, and we'll just raise the ram to the top of the stroke and then crank down the die until we feel it contact the case. Okay, about right there. This is not super critical. We're going to screw in the seating stem, And I'm just gonna crank that down a touch for a bit of compression. That should be all there is to our setup here. Okay, let's seat a bullet and then we'll check it with our digital calipers. To verify our bullet seating depth adjustment, we're going to use the MEC 0 to 6 inch digital caliper set. Couple quick things about this digital caliper set. First, it uses CR2032 batteries. It even comes with a spare. I love this because I have a ton of these around the shop and they have a lot more capacity and runtime compared to some of the smaller cells that you're going to find in a set like this. It has really nice tactile buttons. You can hear a little bit of a click there. That's really nice compared to the mushy button press actuation that some of the other sets will have like this. We can switch between inch and metric with the click of a button. Really great functionality, 1,000th accuracy, 0.5,000th resolution, perfect for this kind of application. And what we can do here is we're going to take a round of factory ammunition that we're replicating here. We're going to go ahead and zero out the calipers on that. We're going to take the cartridge that we just seated a bullet in and see where it lands. We're at -1,000th of an inch, plenty close, a great starting point. And this is something that I'm going to experiment with, this bullet seating depth, as we go through the process of load development for 6.5 PRC. Now that we know that our bullet seating depth is correct, we can go ahead and seat the rest of the bullets. I personally feel like this is one of the more enjoyable aspects of reloading. And this is where the MEC Marksman is a great choice for this particular cartridge. It's a little bit longer than something like 308. See how I can tip the bullet really easily up there into the sliding collar that these Hornady dies features. That would be a little bit more difficult if we were using a press with less capacity. If you have time, you're going to want to check out my 14 single stage reloading press comparison video, because the Marksman is featured in that lineup. It fared really well. It's got a great smooth actuation. It's got a polished ram that's hand fit, made in the USA. Can't complain about that. I don't really feel like I've bonded with a rifle until I've shot my own hand-loaded ammunition. And it looks like I'm ready to do that. So there you go, a showcase of MEC's Metallic lineup of reloading equipment. Now I will note, they have a couple more things that I didn't show here, including a chamfer and deburr tool. They've got a kinetic bullet puller, they've got a funnel kit. You're going to want to check out all of the equipment, and if you click on that first link in the video description, in the article I'm going to have links to product pages and more feeds and speeds, specs, and info. What do you think of this loading demo and this lineup of reloading equipment? Please drop a comment. Also, make sure that you're subscribed with notifications, because I got a lot more 6.5 PRC and 300 PRC content, more MEC Metallic reloading demos and stories. It's going to be awesome. Don't forget, I've got Ultimate Reloader shirts at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'm on Patreon, and we got that full article. Click on those links in the video description. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.